Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now is Catherine Engelbrecht, founder and president of True the Vote, an organization which promotes election integrity and one of the conservative organizations targeted by the IRS. And Catherine, it's good to have you with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kathleen.
Well, the IRS claims the targeting of conservative groups is over, but you've been waiting for 3 years to receive a decision from the IRS about True the Vote's tax-exempt status. Is the targeting of conservative groups by the IRS really over, or is the IRS abuse ongoing?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's over because as I sit here today, we still don't have our tax exemption. It's been, as you say, 3 years. We've answered almost 300 questions. We have submitted thousands of documents. And what I am seeing is groups that are continuing to come to the front line and talk about their experiences. So I think it's far from over.
Now, White House spokesman Jay Carney said today that the White House is satisfied with the responsiveness of IRS officials it sends up to testify about matters of congressional interest in the face of this growing scandal. What do you make of that?
It should be something we've come to expect by now, quite honestly. I mean, the administration tends to look at whoever they can throw under the bus first. And in this case, it looks like it was the employees there in Cincinnati. I can tell you that as far as our application went, we had on 2 separate occasions talked to analysts who told us that their marching orders were coming from Washington. So I think this goes much higher up the ladder than we've really had an opportunity to fully explore.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so True the Vote filed a lawsuit last week against the IRS and IRS employees who participated in the harassment of True the Vote. High-powered Republican attorney Cleta Mitchell is representing you in the suit. What do you hope to accomplish with the lawsuit, and could more government officials be named to the suit?
So, yes, there's a very distinct possibility that we are going to be naming more employees before this is all said and done. We have approached this lawsuit basically looking at 3 counts. The first is we want declaratory judgment. We waited for 3 years for a tax-exempt status, and we want now the courts to grant that to us. The second count is looking at employee actions. We served Lois Lerner in her home last week as being named in this lawsuit because really there's no way to get around the fact that their actions were unlawful. And the third count is for damages. In the last 3 years, we've accrued almost $85,000 in damages, and while that is a huge number, it does not come close to the lost opportunity costs because we've not been able to apply for grants or work with foundations because we haven't had our C3 status. That said, we're not going to pursue those lost opportunity costs. We want to just stay focused on damages that are hard costs because our focus really is to take the opportunity now for discovery. Mm-hmm. Because we did have damages and because we have standing, we will now be able to ask the very tough questions that I think a lot of people want answers to.
We learned that the American Center for Law and Justice filed a federal lawsuit today against the IRS on behalf of 25 conservative groups who were targeted and harassed by the tax agency. Another Tea Party group filed a $20 million lawsuit. What do you make of these other suits?
Well, I think that it's important that anybody who feels as though they have been singled out in this effort to target organizations needs to come forward. And I suspect that this is the first of a wave that we're going to be seeing. Our case is a little different because we're a C3. We have different standing in the suit. But I think that this is a very, very important time in the life of our country where we need to fully understand exactly what the IRS did and exactly who was behind it.
Now, all the IRS delays and questions, John Fund tells Newsmax that this is the ultimate voter suppression. True the Vote is all about free and fair elections, if not for the suppression of conservative groups. Might we have a different president in the Oval Office today?
Well, I mean, I think that there's no question that there was a concerted effort to silence those that the current administration would consider to be political enemies. And it's unfortunate that, as we know now that they've targeted groups with words like Patriot or Tea Party, that apparently election integrity was also part of that profile. Who knows how it might have impacted the election, but what I can tell you is that for many years now, many organizations have had their First Amendment rights trampled on, and that needs to be addressed.
Now, during the arduous IRS application process, an IRS analyst told you, "I'm just following directions, and the directions are coming from Washington." You touched on this earlier. Does this put the lie to the Obama administration that this constitutional targeting was not the work of low-level employees in a single IRS office? And do you believe the president when he says he knew nothing about the IRS targeting of conservatives?
Well, certainly we're already beginning to see now that there were at least 5 more offices involved in the scandal. Who knows where the truth lies? I find it incomprehensible that the president did not know that this was happening. A scandal of this proportion, that it wouldn't have come up at some point in senior staff meetings in the White House. It just, but they are taking plausible deniability to an art form.
Last question for you, Catherine. 2 more House committees will hold hearings next week into the IRS abuses. Do you agree with Senator Lindsey Graham that an independent special counsel to investigate the IRS is needed? And how else should the agency be held accountable?
Well, I don't know all the ins and outs of appointing a special counsel. Whatever mechanisms we have in place, I think we need to take full use of them, because so often in our culture we gloss over things. This is something that shouldn't be glossed over. This is something that really deserves a very close inspection. The thought that our federal government could be involved with singling out private citizens just because of their political stance is something that should chill us all. And I'm hopeful that our elected take a good long look at exactly who was behind it.
All right, Catherine Engelbrecht of True the Vote, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.